This conference will now be recorded.
A recap here. So let's see this recap and then see we are talking about something called constructors, Vijay. You see this?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So we have gone little extra mile yesterday because of one thing is the inputs were really good. There are a couple of things which usually you don't find in the most of the websites. I don't say it is not available, but you don't find it in most of the websites. So here, constructor is something. It's like you have a method concept, right? You know that what is method and how it is implemented. Which I think you are holding
Yes,
some, yeah, some 3 or 4 big data accounts. I know that, but you have, I think, definitely you got that idea about methods.
yeah.
So now coming to the there is a slight difference between method and constructor. Constructor, no, is comes with it comes as a built-in. Constructor is built with with the class name in Scala. I'll just break it down with class name itself in Scala. So you don't declare it as a separate method. I'll just quickly explain a small example to you. Suppose you see this. I'll take a very simple example because we can finish it quickly and you get a quick idea. Suppose you see this now. So this is a simple syntax of class, you know that. And here for class, I declared a parenthesis and then we have declared few parameters with the class name itself. And this is nothing but we call it as a constructor. And this is primary default constructor. Why do we call this primary? Because it is built in with the class name itself. There is another constructor which we call secondary that we'll discuss now in today's session. What do you call this? This is called primary default constructor, and it is built in with the class name itself. Such constructor is primary. Sorry, it's not primary default. I'm really sorry. It is called primary constructor. If it is parameterized, it is primary. If you don't have parameters in this parenthesis, it is primary default constructor. No parameters, it is primary default constructor. Means suppose I declare few things here, something like var a colon int equal to some 10. I'm just printing it like this, Vijay. See, if you have any problem, stop me. Okay, I will clearly explain that. Okay, anybody
Okay.
can add notes whenever you want a quick recap, or if you didn't understand, or something like that, or if you want to do some work around, I am always open for that. And please, you can always ask me. Don't hesitate. See now, how to create an object, isn't it? For instance, as this class doesn't have any parameterized constructor, don't pass any parameters through object. I told you somewhere while doing analysis, this object itself has a constructor calling, which is an implicit part of a object. So object has constructor calling as an implicit part. So whenever an object is created, automatically this is a constructor calling. When you don't have parameters in that, if this is a caller to a constructor, and if there are no parameters in this parenthesis, then you are calling default constructor. Okay. Even if you don't put this parenthesis, still by default, this class is considered as what a default constructor now. What are the statements you declare inside this class? It goes into a default constructor. If you don't declare like this, then if I remove this, we have a class inside that I declare 2 parameters. Then the compiler will add one default constructor of itself, and such constructor is called as a primary default constructor. So that's the
Okay.
point here. Is that clear? Now,
Clear, sir.
When you create an object, you see this now. This is little wonderful here. You find something surprise and strange here. You got that 10 got printed, but I didn't declare any method, but I didn't declare any constructor here, but still I am able to print 10. That's because of the default constructor which is there in the class, and this default constructor which is added by the compiler, we call it as primary default constructor. Got it? And what are the statements you declared inside class? Now, other than methods, suppose you might declare some methods. Methods doesn't go into this constructor. Other statements like print statements, like logic, anything else other than methods, that will go into this constructor, this primary constructor. You got that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that clear, or shall I repeat one more time?
Clear, sir.
So that's about it. Suppose I want parameterized, then you have to declare that like this with the class name, and then here just say a colon int comma b colon int. These are parameters to the class, and this is called primary constructor, where you have parameters here. Okay, this is parameterized primary constructor. Now you can directly, don't need to take them. You can just say a. Similarly, you can take another print and you can print another one also. And here you can print this b. Now you can look at this here. This constructor which is declared here, it is a parameterized primary constructor. If you ask me why, because this is built in with class name itself. That's why it is primary parameterized constructor. And you can declare instance variables, everything, other methods, everything as usual, like how we have done earlier. But what is the point is, all the statements which we declare inside this class goes into this which constructor, in this into this primary constructor. Other than methods, again I am reiterating this. I'm repeating that point. Other than methods, got it right? So now when you're calling this constructor, how do I call it? I have to call through object. There is a constructor calling here, but now you see an error here. Why? Because this time my constructor is a parameterized one, so I should call this by passing two parameters here like this. What is that? One is 1, the other one is a 2. Okay. Now right click and then run as Scala. You got it right? This is about constructors. Simple idea, quick idea about constructors. Got it?
Okay, sir.
Any questions?
No questions.
Yeah. Anyhow, I'll share the yesterday's session so that you get a clear yesterday and day before yesterday's sessions. That gives a perfect idea. Now, continuing from yesterday, I need to add a few more things quickly to the yesterday's
Manohar,
session. Yes,
Bharat
please.
here. Sorry to disturb.
Yeah. Yes, Bharat.
Can we have variable length parameters?
Where here?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think not, right?
No. I didn't check it, but what I am assuming is yes. My answer is yes. Of course, if you come with no, also it's fine. We can do a quick workaround here. Suppose, let me make this as asterisk. Is this a variable length parameter, right?
Yes.
So right. See, constructor means it is not something totally different. It is a kind of method only. Got it? Which is, it is built in with class name here. Usually in other languages that is not the case. They declare it as a special method, but here in Scala they didn't do that. They had just built it with class name as a part of optimization. Now if you look at this, if we have any issue with this, then by now you should see some error here, Bharat. Do you get that point?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, let us do one thing. Just add a few more values. Right? What is the purpose of variable length parameters? Yes or no? Okay. Why do we need variable length parameters? Why do we need that, Bharat?
Because we if we have not sure how many variables parameters will be passing to the calling function, so we'll be defining as a variable length.
Yeah. I'll correct it a bit. Okay. I'll reframe it. Your statement. If you doesn't know how many values we want to pass to a variable, then we have to declare such variables as a variable length, not how many variables. Got it right, Bharat?
Right. Got it.
Okay. So let me run this. You get output. I am sure on that. You got it right. Got the output now, Bharat?
Yes.
So see, this is
Okay,
more.
got it.
Yeah, let me tell you, Bharat. This is more or less like a constructor. When sorry, like a method. Most of the rules which are applicable for method are also applicable for constructor. You got it right?
Right.
But the difference, I should tell this to all of you, even those who missed yesterday, a quick recap you are asking. This is a new concept. This is something new for everyone. This is a very good question. So thanks for bringing this. Everybody will understand this, and you got something new in this question. So now after that, one more quick thing. Even though whatever that is applicable for methods, most of the stuff applicable methods applicable for parameters of constructor, but these constructors have a special purpose. They don't we don't use it. Suppose I can do a logic here, something like I can quickly say that like something like println of a plus b plus a plus b, something like this. But we have an issue. This is a variable length parameter. What we have to do is we can just add something like this for I. Okay, right, we have to iterate. This is a collection here. Okay, when it is collection we should iterate it. So then I'm just doing a sum here. So where colon where sum equal to 0, default it will be declared as int sum equal to sum plus I. You see this now. So we don't I'm doing a business logic here if you look at this, but actually this all this code goes into this parameterized constructor. Got this point, Bharat? Whatever I have declared here, it goes into the parameterized constructor. But
Yes.
actually, these constructors are not recommended to go for business logic. They are not, created to implement business logic. For that, we have methods. Then why do we need constructors? Constructors are used to initialize instance variables of a class. They are used to initialize variables of class. They are not used to carry out this business logic. That is what the purpose of constructor. But of course, at testing stage, we can do all this. We can do XYZ. But in a real-time use case, if you do all this, then definitely as a manager, you tell to the resources. You know that very well, Bharat, if I am not wrong, isn't it? You tell them what you tell array use it for whatever the purpose it is designed. Don't use it in a wrong way, because as a part of code reviewing, definitely what we have to do, we have to suggest the resources to implement a standard in the code. You got it right? But here you might ask me a question, then I am able to do all this. Then you are saying it is only specific to this, what is that, initialization. Yes, you can do all that. You can use a brush, not for only what is that, doing the brushing. You can use for many people use brush for coloring hair also, you remember, right? But actually the purpose of brush is not for coloring. What is it? It is used for, some people also clean their bikes, some people clean some other things like that with a brush, red toothbrush, what I am speaking. But actually what is the purpose of brush there? You can just for cleaning the tooth. But in a similar way, constructor is used to initialize instance variables, but still you can implement certain things here, but it is not a standard way, standard practice. But here, why I am talking about all this here is just to show you a quick analysis on how constructor works. That's all, nothing more than that. Now you see, I have carried out a business logic here, and it will work here. You can see here, but we don't use it in this way. The purpose of constructor is here. I clearly, maybe you can say, you can declare some instance variable, some int a equal to, okay, int a equal to, okay, some int a equal to 0, and then where some, you don't need this now, because this is a variable argument. Generally we don't mean it. Colon int p equal to 0, and then finally what, now I should initialize this parameters of constructor to this instance variables. We know, I taught this yesterday. We can do directly like this. How do we do it? We can do like this with the method, some def m1. 1 minute. You can directly initialize here. Yeah, this is how it will work. Otherwise, you get an error. Yesterday we have done it. And When you do this, there is an ambiguity. To avoid ambiguity, we use this something called this. We avoid something called this. Okay, and then and now you can do some addition here now. What is that? Something like int opening brace. Now you can see you about this part. You can do addition thing. You know that you can directly say c equal to some a plus b. That is fine. All of you know that. Now these are instance variables. You know that you have attended classes and object topic. So I'm initializing these instance variables with these parameters of constructor, and these are what the parameters senses. Usually parameters are considered as local variables. Okay, and we are initializing this local variables with this instance variables. You got this point, right? You understand that? So this is what actually we use constructor is. But the purpose of constructor is this: to initialize this instance members, we use constructor. And when your parameter names and your instance variable names are same, then you have to use this with the instance members to avoid the ambiguity. And if you don't use this, it leads to an ambiguity issue. You got all this right? So that's about a quick understanding. Now yesterday, guys, there are few more things. Today we will go a little deeper into this discussion. Okay. Anyhow, the rest of the part is fine for us. Now you know one more additional thing. Let us add to the constructor part. Okay, what is that? I'll just show you here. Using some defaults. Okay, another topic. See here. Let me just show you. We use some defaults. Okay, something like, you know, right? I taught this default parameters. We have discussed some 3 or 4 types of parameters. Default with methods actually. Default parameters, named parameters, variable argument parameters, and positional parameters. Okay, suppose if I say equal to 0 here, something like some 10, we can directly initialize values here itself. And you know when this will become handy, if you are not passing parameters, then by default your constructor uses default values. Suppose I just declare like this, where some a colon int, okay, equal to some a, or just make it as every time you don't need to apply this. This is, you know, used when should I apply this with instance variables? When the parameter names and when the instance variable names are same, then only we apply this with this instance variables. Otherwise, if the parameter names are different and if the instance variable names are different, this is not necessary because there is no point of ambiguity here. Okay, something like b equal to y. Now you got it right. So that's I'm just only talking about these defaults. This is another new topic for us. Okay, now def something like, I'm printing them. I'm not doing anything now. So you see this, just print it, println of a, then print it, println of b. Okay, and just declare this assignment here. And now create an object, some var space a equal to new a, and just pass 2 parameters, and then a dot m1. That's fine. Got it right? Suppose I don't pass, I just only pass 1 parameter. You don't get error this time. Why I don't get an error? Because I have declared my parameters with default values. So if I don't pass any value through this constructor caller, then your constructor uses default values. So right click, run as scale. I got 1 and 20. Suppose I don't pass 2, then it will take both values now. It will take x as well as y. Still we don't have an issue. This is how we can use default values in Scala with the parameters of a constructor. Is that clear? If you wish, you can quickly test this code, sir. All of you got it right? I'm just adding that here. Test this code once. Test it. Me and my laptop and water have very close relation. Okay, like this, I lost 2 laptops.
Manohar, this Bharat. Can you
Yeah.
quickly show me one more time how you are using this?
Sure. I will. Can I have 1 minute?
Sure.
Little water spilled on my laptop. So
Just take care of that first.
okay. Meanwhile, others can test it, guys. Okay. 1 minute. I'll get back. Okay, Bharat, see here. Suppose you understand this, how to initialize instance, local parameters of constructor to instance. You got that point, right?
Yes, that point is clear to me.
Suppose now we don't have an issue. Why? Because this parameters of
Variables.
you can tell, no issues.
Parameters and variable names are different, so that's why we have no issues over there.
Yeah.
When the parameter names and variable names are same, then we have an issue.
Suppose you change this x to a when constructor parameter names and instance variable names are same. Then you take it like this. Be here, okay? And here also. Is that fine, right? Now when I do this, in the previous initialization, I don't have any error. Okay. But this time, if you look at it, I'm seeing a compilation error now. Can you see this now? Why? When you read there, you can read the error. Put cursor on that variable. Usually it will come. This is a bit strange now. Yeah, now see that. What is it there? What it is showing? Ambiguous reference to overloaded definition. Both variables A in A, and you can see that, right? Bharat?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, I can see that.
Now, how do you fix this? There is one thing, a standard rule in Java or Scala, or even CPP or C#. When such ambiguity issue is there, declare your instance variable with this keyword. What keyword? This dot. Now the error is removed like that. Can you see there?
Yes.
Now you got clarity there?
Yes. Okay.
So that's
now I moved one step ahead. Can we have one more method in the class by assigning the values, not with the constructor?
Correct. Even we discussed that yesterday. So what I suggest is, sorry, I will share the, I'll share the video to you. Okay.
Okay, fine. Then let's move on.
We can do that, Bharat. That's possible. Okay. To quickly get to your question. Okay. Okay. Next. Now, maybe if you want to quickly see that, because as you raised that question, I'll do one thing. You can do this. Instead of directly initializing, if you want to set it to a method, do 0. Just 2 minutes, guys. We'll switch to the next topic. Okay. So take different parameters. Otherwise, again, in a method, we cannot directly initialize if parameters are same. We have an issue yesterday, so we fix that with this approach. So as far as I remember, A equal to X. This is one thing, and then B equal to Y. This is second thing. Okay. I think this is what you are asking, Bharat. Okay. Then if you want, you can directly print it, because as we are just testing it.
No, not this one. I'm saying the variable name and parameter name both are same.
In that case, we get, it's not possible in such case when you take like this. When you take
this is fine. This is fine. I'm okay with this. But if the parameters is also A and B, then how to manage?
There is nothing to manage here. In that case, we get an error. Probably 1 minute. Let me put it as A. Let me put it as B. We have done a workaround yesterday for this. Okay. Somebody is yeah. Now you see, when I do this, I get an error. The other way is applying this. So when you apply this, in this case, even what is that? Still we have ambiguity.
Yes.
Actually, might be the reason. I'll tell you. We should do this initialization in the constructor itself, in a method, when this particular exists. Got it right?
Okay.
Usually, the constructor purpose is to initialize instance variables. It is not actually done with methods. It is done with what? Constructor, right? You got it?
Right. Yes.
Might be what I am thinking is, Scala people didn't allow to do this kind of initialization when these variables are same. So what they have done is, I tried all we have done a workaround yesterday also. We tried all possibilities, but nothing worked, here. So that's why, and all of a sudden, like a magic. Madhu had came up with. He just have given us a quick update on this. We have to update this. Okay, there is a way to initialize them. Like this dot. No, already we have discussed this scenario, right? And then
Right.
you have to initialize. Okay, A to A, B to B. Then you can do whatever you want there. Is it fine?
Fine then.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
now I'm clear. Thank you.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So maybe next one. I'm switching to the next topic. One thing is, I want you to just quickly write a program in command prompt, in a notepad, and let's test it in the prompt. I want to show you a couple of observations with these constructors. You know, if you ask me all of a sudden why you switch it to this command prompt, a Scala prompt, just for a cause, to get a deeper analysis on these constructors. Okay, let's see this now. There is something which you don't see usually. You know, there is something we call it as setters and getters. Setter is used to set data, getter is used to get data. Okay, now so far in the last 1 or 2 sessions, okay, so far last 1 or 2 sessions, okay, you see here I didn't use any qualifiers like where, like val. Okay, I didn't use any such qualifiers. I just declared them directly, and then I used in the class itself, or I used them to initialize instance variables. But for something we have to understand quick things here. There is something we need to understand with this constructor parameters. Now these are restricted parameters. If I don't declare any qualifier, these are called restricted, or we can call them as private parameters. After this, I'll talk about access modifiers in Scala. So that will give a detailed analysis. Now I don't want again switch to access modifiers again. That will be again a deviation. For now, remember, these are restricted parameters, or you can assume these as private parameters. Now, if you look at it, you can see here, when I put cursor on this, it is showing that private this val a something. Means what? This A is a private variable, this B is a private variable. If you put cursor on top of that, it will show you it's as private. Suppose you put cursor on this, let us observe this. Even this is also treated as what? A private here. Can you see it? So these are private members. So if something is private, we cannot directly access them outside. What we have to do? We have to use methods to access them. That is one thing. Okay, we'll talk more on that. But now, in this case, this is private, and also this is private. So now, let us just take a notepad here, and then write a quick program like this, and prepare this. All of you know this, how to write this program. As you are executing from Scala prompt, sometimes if it is older version, you don't have an issue if you apply concatenation operator. But if it is a newer version, then it will expect this placeholders. Okay, we need this string interpolation. I taught this in strings topic. Okay, while discussing somewhere in the beginning, I taught interpolation. So you just take a simple constructor and then print that variables, nothing to do, and just create an object by passing 2 parameters. That's enough for us for now. So first of all, prepare this in the notepad and save this somewhere in the local drive. Okay, suppose if it is E drive, I just put it in E drive Manohar. Similarly, you put it in some dedicated drive, something which you can recognize where you have saved it. Okay, that is one thing. Do that now first. Open a notepad. We are also understanding one thing: how to run your Scala program directly in Scala prompt, not in Eclipse or IDEs. Okay, just a quick idea. But this we don't follow this in a real-time situation. We use Eclipse or IntelliJ or these IDEs we prefer in a real environment. So once you prepare, just tell me. I'll tell the next steps what you have to do now. So once you write a code, save it. Control S. Here I already saved it. Save as. Say save as. And here choose all files here. Choose all files and then select and type here some your file name dot Scala. And what should be the name? With what name you should save? With the name of test. In wherever your main function is available or main method is available, you save your program with that name. Here, save it with object name. Do that now. I will show few observations about constructors now. Once done, please tell me. Once you type this code, or if you don't want to type, make it fast. I'm pasting the code in the chart. Anyhow, you can. This is not big code. Just copy and paste it. Yes, sure. Now, all of you are ready? I want to run this from where? From Scala prompt. You can open Scala prompt from whichever the drive you want. Now I want to open from this path. Many people open this and it might be pointing to C drive. You might get confused. The easiest way is open the folder where you have saved your file. Open the folder where you have saved your file. Okay, observe this. And here just type CMD. Okay, in place of that, type CMD, enter. That will automatically set the path to which one? Your current directory, and it will show that. Is that clear now? Is that clear now? Yes sir, no sir. If you want me to show you again, ask me. Don't hesitate. What is important is you people testing it. Now, if you are ready with this, you are waiting till this prompt, then we can continue. Are you ready till here? You are ready, waiting with prompt now? Anybody has issue, stop me, ask me. Okay, fine. Please show once. Did you finish writing code and saving it? Okay, then what you do is I have saved this program in which drive? In E drive, Manohar folder. And here, go to this address thing and just type here CMD, then press enter. Then it will automatically set your prompt to the required path. That directory where your file is residing. It will set path directly to the easiest way. Now, how do you compile a program from a Python prompt? Sorry. How do you compile a program from Scala prompt? No, you compile it like this. First, step one, how to compile? You type Scala C space your file name dot Scala. Suppose if my file name is a test.scala. You do this in the prompt here. First, you need to do it from command. Okay, Scala C space test.scala. That is one thing. First, do that. Step one, we are compiling the code. And in this process, if you have any syntax errors, it will throw that errors here in this environment. Now, all of you finish this. You might be thinking why I asking you to do this. To do a little bit of deeper, to dig much into these constructors, I am doing this. Okay. Now run this Scala space test.scala and then press enter. Got it? You got 1 and 2. That's what I am passing here. Can you see that? Now, where is the constructor now? With which entity you have constructor, with the A or with the test? Where is the constructor? With what class A? Constructor is with the A, right? Now I want to just see. I want to examine everything of this A. Got it right? I want to examine this. So to examine that A, the internal things, there is something called a help command Java P space. You should say A dot class. What do you do? A dot class. Press enter. Can you see that? it is giving you a tuned kind of methods here. Earlier, our constructor is with class. When I try to examine this with the Java P is a help command. Okay. So now what is it showing? It is showing all the methods and all the all other variables, everything that is present directly and indirectly, which are generated by the your compiler and your interpreter as well. Got it right? Got it. Now here there is nothing strange. The reason is simple. These parameters are private parameters. If you ask me what is that, I'll talk tomorrow. Don't worry. Just remember these are private parameters. Got it right? Now, suppose you see, make us all of you done tested this now. Did you test this? Tell me yes or no. If I should wait, you can ask me to wait. Yeah, we know this done. That's and how is your health? You know, you told you're having fever, all that. Okay, good. Stomach ache. Yeah, I understand. Correct. Is it done, sir? All of you? Rajender, Manoj, Veera, Rajesh, Madhu, Harish, Deepak, Bharat, and Vijay. Finished it?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. You do one thing now. Another change. Declare this variables of constructor as var. Apply a qualifier here. The qualifier this time is var. Okay. Now you save this code again after making change. Come to the prompt. And what you do is just again rerun the again follow the steps again. What is that first thing? Scala C space test.scala. Again compile code. Again run your code. Now again apply Java P space a dot class name. Did you see something different this time? Guys, did you see something different now?
Yes.
When I add var, that qualifier var, in this, this code generated with Java P, if you see this, what is it? This is metadata, of course. We can call this as metadata. This constructor is added to the class, that is fine. And apart from that, there are some other methods. You can see here a method. You can see all this looks like a method. Public void means this is your Scala code got converted to Java. And here in Java, instead of unit, you have void. And this you can see here, this is a method name, and then this is a parameter. And this method is a setter. And this method is a getter. For the two variables are there in the class, right? Here, if you look at it, for this, what variables are there in this as parameters? One is A, other one is B. Now, if you declare them with qualifier A, for this variable A, your Scala compiler will automatically generate one setter and getter. Similarly, for this variable B, Scala compiler will automatically generate one setter and getter. Can you see? If you look at this, what do you mean by this A underscore sequence? This is a setter for A variable, and this is a getter. We use this for setting data. We use this for getting data. I will show you one simulated code with Scala now. We'll do this afterwards. Okay, how to have setters and getters in a Scala class. Then you get a perfect picture. Okay, usually this kind of thing in Java, we call it as a POJO, plain old Java object. When you have some variables and when you have setters and getters, setter is used to set data and getter is used to get data. Such thing in Java can be called as a POJO. But now as it is Scala, you can simulate that here as well. Nothing is impossible. So now Similarly, we do same. And even one more thing is generated for this variable B, a setter and a getter. This is getter. Getter returns value. Setter is used to set data. And a constructor, as usual, you can see inside the class definition. This is how Java code. And your Scala code got converted to this form. And this is the metadata of your a.class here. You got this point? Did you get this, guys? Did you understand, sir? All of you? Okay. What do you say? Are you comfortable now? Something different, right? So you can now you can, what is that? So copy all this and just you can document all this. These are all very useful things for us. Got it, right? So now that is one thing. I'll put it in the document so that these are a little deeper. Sometimes when you are doing some debugging, this might be helpful. But as when you are into big data projects, don't try to again get into this interview questions, all these things which are too much for a for every. It's not possible for everyone. You just only see how these people are doing. When you get into too much of technicalities, not everyone will be aware of all this. This is only just to make sure you have that deeper understanding of Scala. Tomorrow, when you are in the panels, I know you will be in the panels for big data. Got it, right? Because I see these many Amirpet trained interviewers in the panels. When I attend interview, most of the interviews I feel little, what do you call it, as a crazy kind of thing. Now, next one. Is this good now? This is one use case, guys. Another use case. You just change this qualifier here with this parameters with val and test it now. Qualifier, change this var to val and test it and see the difference, and you just tell me the difference. Meanwhile, I just need to document this. Okay. Next one. So do you find any difference, sir? When you change it to val, definitely at least there should be a small difference. If I'm not wrong, correct? What is that? So you remove this, put val here. Little interesting, right? So when you get into the inner things of coding, so that will be more, that gives better, happiness for us. That's what I feel when I dig too much into the coding. Now, let us see what's difference we are finding here. Again, Scala C space test dot Scala. Okay. Again, might be you can test it directly. See, by now that dot class will be generated. Right? Whenever you compile any .java .scala, you look here in this directory. Very important point. You get a class file. Can you see? There is a .scala which we saved. A class file, for us, which is generated by the compiler. You can see this is called .class, which is called bytecode. One more class file with the $. I'm not sure about this, but usually when you compile a Scala program, we get a .class file. This is what this is. Got it, right? So means we get minimum 2 files when you compile your Scala or Java programs. One dot Scala and one dot class. Got it? And this is called bytecode, and your JVM run this bytecode, not this dot Scala. This compiler will compile this. Keep in mind. A quick idea for you. Okay, let me get into my now Java p space again a.class after modifying the code. But this time I see difference here. When I use val, which is an immutable, when I make it as val here, when you look at this code, again something strange we are observing. What is that? Can you see this now? When you use val here, what's happening here? Now, as this is immutable, val means they don't allow you to set data. Does they allow to modify data? Why this difference had happened is, if you know the basics, to remember the basics which we have discussed in the beginning of Scala, var is mutable, var can be modified so that we have a setter to reinitialize that value or to reset that value. So setter and getters are. But val is immutable. You can get the value from that variable, but you cannot modify that value of this variable. Suppose you see here now, suppose here in this code, I cannot say something like a equal to 20 here. If it is val, I cannot reset it. When I do this, I get an error. Suppose if I declare var here, suppose if I declare as var, then I can again, suppose I might be passing 1 and 2. After that, I want to reset it. I don't want to use 1. I just want to assign something else to this parameter. Then I'm resetting it. Okay, I'm assigning one more time. Then this is possible if my variable is val. Otherwise, you get an error. So when you are able to set value to this variable, then a setter is called internally. Then when you try to print it, what happens? A getter is called. I will simulate this code. Very interesting topic. Okay, we will simulate in the Scala code with the Scala class. Then you get a quick idea. Suppose if I put val here, you can test it, no problem. You can do it and print this A and see the output. Okay, again, you can put val here. You try to modify val, you get an error. Why? There is no setter available for val. Common sense is we cannot modify val. That's why even the metadata generated here is not showing setter, but it is only giving getter, because we can only get value from that val type of variables. We cannot modify them. That's why setter is not there. Setter is used to set data. Getter is used to just get that value with the variable. That's all. Do you see this difference now? Yes or no, sir? You got it? Or any critical questions? Any critical questions? Understood now? Looks interesting, right? What do you say? So this is something which you need to get a quick idea about. This usually a little deeper into this. Which one? Deeper into the constructors topic. Now, finally, whatever I have discussed so far, it's all about what? It's all about primary constructors. Now, let's conclude quickly about primary constructors. What we have discussed, the topic wise. First thing, we have an introduction, primary constructor, or we just understood what a constructor is, the basic rules. Why do we need that? Does it have a return type? Do we need to call it? These are the basics we understood. Then we understood the types, that is one thing. Then on that, we understood again primary constructor. Okay, then came to know that again primary constructor has types, default primary and parameterized primary. We have discussed that. And one more important point we observed here is, if you don't declare any constructor, then by default one constructor exists. We call it as primary default constructor, which is included by the compiler. I put this very clearly number of times so far. Okay, and then we also understood how to initialize instance variables with a method. Okay, by passing values from this parameterized constructor. PC means parameterized constructor. Similarly, we have seen how to initialize directly this instance variables in the class itself, in the class scope itself. That is another case. Okay. How to initialize instance variables. I think this is not allowed, right? 1 minute, I'm sorry. We have just does a workaround here. How to initialize instance variables in class code. That is one more thing we have discussed. Okay. And then now we have seen very clearly the parameter types. How many ways we can declare this constructor parameters? What are the scopes? Private and then var and then val, all that. Okay. So parameter types of a constructor. That is one more thing. And we have also seen very clearly what is that how this when you declare with val, what is the difference? When you declare with val, what is the difference? If you are declaring with var, what is the difference? If you don't declare both, what is it? We have discussed all that. Okay. Now let us switch to the next type of constructor. This is another type of constructor, what we call auxiliary constructor. I'll just quickly run through this with a simple example so that we don't need too much time here. Okay, auxiliary means secondary. Means in a way, if you add a secondary constructor, means one more constructor, then what happens? We can just quickly tell that it's constructor overloading. What is it? It becomes constructor overloading. Okay, then here there are few things we need to understand how to declare that auxiliary constructor. First thing, okay, we declare it's like if you are from Java, there is a this constructor in Java, if you remember. Similarly, there is a this keyword. Okay, like we declare what is that? A secondary constructor. How do you declare it? With this keyword. You get this with this keyword. How? Like this. Same like method only. But instead of a class name or any other name, always you should use that this keyword inside a class that becomes a secondary constructor, something like this of some parameter list. Okay, then okay. Same everything. Probably this doesn't have a return type, guys. You don't have a return type, and then I say like this. I'll just directly open it. Got it right? Like this. Okay, I'll test it. Let me test it quickly. Now I have already one primary. I'm adding one more constructor. In sense like how I cannot add one more primary again. We can have at most. Remember this is a rule. We can have at most one primary constructor, but we can have n number of this constructors or secondary constructors or auxiliary constructors. You got it right? Yes or no? Then how do you define it? Something like this of okay. I take three parameters to this a colon x, okay, just for my x colon okay, int comma y colon int comma z colon int. Okay, so I took three here, then opening and closing bracer, and then you might have an error immediately. The error is what is this error here? No, just remove all this. You don't need them. First, read this. There is no information. Let me try to put assignment. That is the issue. No, there is. I think. Let me do one thing. Let me add this my x. Okay, I understood the error here. There is one thing. You don't need assignment, or if you put assignment, I don't think that's have an issue. You can see here. This is anyhow part of the syntax. So now the question is again. This is actually the secondary constructor. Okay, let me go back for some time. Bear that error before I come to this inside part. What is that? Why I put that? We'll talk on that. This is how you define. Like same like a method, but you see, give the name as this here. Don't give any other name. Always a secondary constructor have name as this. Then the parameters are same like methods, same like primary constructor. You can declare as you like. Got it right? Huh? Now I declared three here. If you want, you can declare two also. How many you can declare? If you want, you can declare one also. You don't have an issue. Okay. You get till this point. Huh? All of you get till this point, gentlemen. Yes, sir. Okay, now I have three for some time. This is fine. Now, how many constructors are there in this code? How many constructors? Two constructors. One the primary constructor and two this constructor, which is secondary. This such concept is called constructor overloading. You know what is overloading? If you declare more than one method, okay, with a similar kind of this thing, it is called what? A constructor overloading. Got it right? I will give more better example than this. Now I have two constructors. Then if you have two constructors in a class, obviously if you have more than one constructor, then it is constructor overloading. Got it right? Now And here parameters is your wish, but there is a rule here. Whenever you declare this secondary constructor, the rule is, and when you have a primary constructor, by default primary constructor exists. One primary constructor always exists. Even you declare it or you don't declare it, always there will be one primary constructor. But rule is you can declare like this. Okay, I have declared it. Now there is a rule here. What is that rule? We should declare, or we should call a primary constructor. A primary, you can see here now. I'm slowly writing. You can read this also. It will give you a perfect idea. Primary constructor as a first statement where in secondary constructor, where you should call it as a secondary constructor. That is one more important point. If you don't do this, it is a violation, rule violation. If you violate rules, what happens? Compiler is going to throw error. Okay, so what you do is come here. This error is because of that only. What is that? Your compiler is expecting your primary constructor to be called as a first statement. But the question is, how do I call it? Can I call it saying something like a of, primary constructor has two parameters. Then when you call primary constructor through this caller, okay, you should pass two values. Okay. For now, I'm calling with directly with this class name. Let us see if this is going to work for us, or is there any other way for us to do this? But when I do like this, out of my surprise, still I have an error. What is that? It's showing here. This expected but identifier found. So means I can call this primary constructor, but it is saying, yeah, you are not calling it in a right way. You should not do this. Then what should I do? Remove this. Then how can I call it? So if you want to make a call to the constructor of primary, sorry, to the primary constructor, like, and you can also call constructor of this class. So the point is you can call with this method. What is this? This method. What is this method? The purpose of this method is used to call a constructor of a class, any constructor. You can call secondary constructor with this one secondary constructor in another secondary constructor with this method, or you can call a primary constructor from secondary constructor with this method. You got it right? So this is how we make a call to any constructor of a class. It might be a primary constructor, it might be a secondary constructor, it might be some other constructor. But you have only two types here. If I say some other, there is no some other. Now, how do I call it? How does your compiler know that I'm calling this? Which one? This constructor. The magic lies in the parameters. Suppose my secondary constructor has 3 parameters. My primary constructor has 2 parameters. So with this, I should pass this x comma y. Means what I am doing here, I am delegating. First, here, when you have 2 constructors, there might be a little confusion here. For how do I create object now? When you have multiple constructors, we can use every constructor to create one object. But now in this case, to which constructor should I create object? You try to create object for secondary constructor, then secondary constructor is called, and secondary constructor will make a call to primary constructor. And in that process, what you are doing, the first 2 parameters of secondary, you are delegating. Delegating means what? You are passing on to this primary constructor here. And we can call this as a delegation of values, okay, or passing of parameters. Anything is fine there. Got it right? Now you know what happens in this code. Come here. First you pass how many parameters here? You pass 3. 1, 2, 3, just for testing purpose. Can you see this now? Now you tell me, out of these 2 constructors, which constructor is going to be called when I create an object like this? Answer. Which is called? Is it the second?
Auxiliary.
Perfect. Auxiliary. Okay. We'll come with some pros and cons. So now right click, because this is a straightforward. Primary has 2 parameters, secondary has 3 parameters. When I pass 3, without any doubt, this is going to call secondary constructor or auxiliary. And then that here, this constructor is a call to, this is also a caller, this is also a caller, and this will make a call to this primary constructor. So what I do is first thing, I'll print all my three values here. First of all, I say println of x, okay, and then x plus some space, or otherwise I use three prints, not an issue. That will make it will beautiful here. We'll stop this after this. X, Y, Z. Okay. So I have what I'm printing here. I'm printing the parameters of which one? The parameters of a secondary constructor or auxiliary. Suppose I could print here again println of okay A, and then println of B, and these are coming from primary. These are coming from primary. There is a lot of discussion for not today. You just get quick idea here. Tomorrow we'll see how this constructors are called, the calling chain, how this calling chain happens in the stack. I will draw some stack diagram, and we will do a little bit of postmortem on this, so that you get into the roots of memory and see how these methods or constructors are being executed. We'll see that tomorrow. But now what do we do? For now, when I call this, when this object is created, no doubt this is going to make a call to the secondary constructor. Now, secondary constructor, before executing these statements, this doesn't execute prints first. First, it will make a call to your primary. Then the control comes to the primary. Then these values are x and y are delegated to primary, and then these values are printed first. Again, the control come back to this secondary constructor, and then these values are printed. Now, for a change, if you want to be sure that which constructor gets executed first, I'm just saying here PC here for a quick idea. Okay, and here also I'm just saying what sorry, A, B, right? Okay, here also just to show that these are from primary constructor. Now when I run this, the execution, you can see the execution. One with PCR from primary, others which without any indication are secondary. You see now primary got executed first, and then secondary got executed next. And how this happens, what is the how this execution flow is happening between methods, that I'll show you tomorrow in the stack. Okay, because methods are executed from something called a memory called stack. Tomorrow we'll talk on this for just 5 minutes quickly to get a deeper idea of how this execution flow is happening here. That's the point, including how this main is inserted, pushed into stack, then how this constructor is pushed, how this primary constructor is pushed, the chain of calls, how it happens, and how this pop happens in the stack. That is a little deeper thing that we see in tomorrow's session. All of you are good now? Yes, no? I don't want to tell. I'm hungry. Some answers will be there, right? Still, I didn't have my dinner. Okay. So don't worry. No problem. For you, the advantage, at least you can put plate in front of you. You can keep eating, listening to the session. Even I don't have that choice. Okay, now that's about auxiliary. Tomorrow I'll talk more on this, the analysis of execution flow. And then also constructor overloading. Of course, we can consider this itself as overloading, but I will add one or two more this constructors, and we see how we can call one this from another this. We'll do all that kind of jiggling. Okay, and then we'll close constructors. Then I'll talk about access modifiers, and then we'll go to the inheritance topic. And maybe I'll talk about companion object, anonymous object, all that. After that, we'll talk about inheritance. Good. Okay, guys. Happy night for all of you. Stay safe, stay home. Good night.